In this video, I'm going to answer one of the most frequent questions I get asked. Can you count cards at online blackjack? Well, the answer might surprise you, so stick until the end to find out. Welcome to Ninja Gamblers, the ultimate destination for quality casino content. Here you can find the latest info and strategies for roulette, blackjack, poker, slots, and more. If you want to stay ahead of the game and be best equipped to try and beat the casinos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. In the link in the description of this video, you can also find a link to our Telegram channel, where we share extra content that never makes it to YouTube. And you can also find a list of safe licensed casinos we recommend, with free money bonuses that they offer. So, we've already established in another video that counting cards is a very powerful strategy that can mathematically beat the casino and get a player's advantage. In theory, it's the only strategy in the whole gambling world that, if done right, is mathematically unbeatable. Now, this is at a physical casino, but what if you live far from one, or you cannot be bothered to make a big trip just to count some cards? Could you do it from the comfort of your home, just opening your laptop or phone? Can you count cards at online blackjack, or is it something that only works if I go to a brick-and-mortar casino? Many people are convinced that online casinos do not allow you to count cards, so it's physically impossible to count cards online, and you have to go to a physical casino to do that. But is it really true? Well, the answer might surprise you. Before we dive into online blackjack, let's quickly recap how card counting works in a live setting. Players keep track of the ratio of high to low value cards left in the deck. A deck rich in high value cards, especially 10s and aces, generally offers a more favourable outcome for the player and a less favourable one to the dealer. So in practice, it makes the player win more. In a few words, by knowing this number, called true count, the player knows when there are higher chances of winning, and therefore it's time to play big, and when it's time to bet less, or even stop playing, because the cards still not dealt will be bad for the player. I'm planning to do a specific video tutorial about how to count cards. Would you like to see it? Comment down below. But today, we're not talking too much about how to count cards. Instead, we want to understand if you can do it online. Let's have a look. Firstly, online there are two types of blackjack you can play: online blackjack and live dealer blackjack. Online blackjack is an automatic software. There is no real human or real deck of cards involved. Most online blackjack games use a method called random number generation, RNG, to shuffle and deal cards. After each hand, the deck or decks is virtually reshuffled. This constant reshuffling makes traditional card counting strategies ineffective, as you're essentially starting from scratch after every hand. In reality, it's not even a shuffle of cards, it's literally just the software throwing out random numbers. It makes it look nice and cool with the card graphics, but really, there are no cards involved at all. So, in a few words, you cannot count cards if you play this kind of online blackjack. However, let's talk about the second way you can play blackjack online, the live dealer, because here the dynamics are different. In live dealer games, a real person deals from a physical shoe, just like in a real casino. We're talking about a real person in a real location using real cards. The only difference here from a physical casino is that you watch the dealer online, rather than being next to him or her. Does this mean you can count cards at online blackjack with a live dealer? Well, yes, you can. So, in a nutshell, you can count cards at blackjack online, just not on an online blackjack, but with a live dealer. Okay, but before you jump on your favourite casino betting all your money, hear me out. There is an important caveat. Most live dealer games use multiple decks and have a policy of cutting off a significant portion of the shoe before reshuffling. This reduces the penetration, or the number of cards you get to see before the shuffle, making it harder to get an accurate count. You see, once there is a reshuffle, you need to count back to zero. It's like nothing happened, and you start from scratch. Most live dealer blackjacks online reshuffle at 50% with an 8-deck shoe, which means you have 4 decks to count cards before there is a reshuffle and you have to start counting again. This, in practice, makes it harder for the true count to go really high, which, in even simpler words, means there probably are fewer situations where you can win big with a super high true count. Most likely, the true count will always stay quite low, giving you an edge, yes, but less than what it could be if there was no reshuffling halfway. You see, because the best moments are at the end, when there's 1 or 2 decks left, you may have a very high true count. That's when you can bet big and win big. But with a reshuffle at 50% of the shoe, this will never happen. That said though, many land-based casinos are reshuffling their shoe halfway too. It's a common misconception that land-based casinos don't reshuffle at all, and some still do. but the vast majority set stringent rules on their blackjack penetrations, with many of them now doing a 50% penetration like the online ones do. So if you play in these tables, which now are the majority, you have the same odds as with a live dealer online. Also, counting cards online has a few benefits that counting cards in physical casinos don't have. Firstly, if you're a beginner card counter, you need a calm environment to practice. Land-based casinos are noisy, loud. There are people all around you all the time. They are rushed by the dealer, and most likely, especially if you're a beginner, you are constantly frightened by the side-eye looks that the security is giving you when you win. You can't make it obvious that you're counting cards, so you have to do it discreetly in your head, maybe even pretending you are drunk or you're playing randomly to not draw attention. Online, you could be by yourself, on your sofa, sipping a tea, counting cards out loud and taking notes. Maybe even doing it together with a couple of friends to make it easier. No one cares and no one is looking at you, so the environment is very different. Right, but online there are a lot of people talking about a few other risks of counting cards online, like being banned by online casinos, not being paid, and having too few hands dealt. Is this a deal breaker? Well, these are actually misconceptions. Let's have a look. Some haters of online card counting say that by playing online blackjack with a live dealer, you play way fewer hands per hour than a physical one. You see, to make card counting viable, you need to have as many hands as possible per hour so that you can get to a good true count faster. And it's true, some live dealers are really slow, but they are not much slower than what you'd get in a land-based casino. Most live dealers have a time limit per player of around 10 seconds, while land-based ones don't. If one of the players decides to ponder a long time, technically the dealer has to wait until it becomes a bit ridiculous. Plus, if you really want some speedy card counting, there are many live dealers that allow unlimited players that all bet at the same time, so there are literally just a bit more than 10 seconds per hand for each player to think about it. Find me a land-based casino that does that. Another common misconception is the idea that online casinos have security measures in place that monitor betting patterns and could ask you to leave or change the dealer's shuffle patterns if they suspect you're counting, or that there are programs and apps out there claiming to assist in card counting for online blackjack, or that you could face bans or have your winnings confiscated. Now, this is a more plausible belief. However, most certified online casinos allow card counting and actually encourage players to try it out. See, the idea that casinos really hate card counters and beat them to death in their basement once they find them is more of a Hollywood story than reality. Especially now, with both physical and online casinos shuffling the shoe, card counting gives an advantage but nothing sensational, and this is if you count perfectly. Most people just lose the count or get carried away while playing, so for that one great card counter that got a bit of profit, there are probably tens of people who try and lose, give up and just bet randomly. So most casinos legally allow card counting. Also, even the winnings of card counting are glorified in the imagination of many of us thanks to Hollywood films. It does offer an advantage, but it's like a 1.5%. So if you count really well, you can get some extra cash, but you won't make millions in one day just by counting some cards. Unless you find a blackjack table that allows you to have a bankroll of billions, and you also happen to find someone that lends you those billions. Now, what if online casinos technically allow it, but once they've made a big win, they find some cheeky ways to not pay you? Well, if you play in certified casinos, you don't have to worry about that. See, for them, it's illegal to not pay you if you're owed some winnings. Regulated casinos cannot just tell you that you won't be paid, or find weird ways to avoid doing that. It just cannot legally happen. They are strictly regulated by governmental bodies, kind of like if they were a bank. So they can't just disappear with your money. Now, if you did play in non-regulated casinos, then that's a whole other story. In that case, they can indeed do that and disappear with your money, or just find a way to not pay you, and you won't have any regulator to protect you. So, as usual, this shows the importance of playing in regulated casinos. This is just one of the many advantages. Also, in many countries, playing in unregulated casinos is illegal, so you'd be breaking the law if you played in unregulated ones. Okay, but how do you know which casinos are legal in your country? Well, of course, the simple way is to check our link in the description, where you can find the online casinos that are regulated in your country and that have live dealer blackjack where you can count cards. Some of them even offer free money as a bonus to new players. I've created a comparison of these offers in the link in the description. So, weighing everything, can you count cards at online blackjack? You cannot in normal online blackjack games, but you can in live dealer games. However, there are some important changes to bear in mind, mainly multiple decks and low penetration, so it might not be as profitable as one might hope. Is it worse than card counting in physical casinos? Yes, if you find a casino that doesn't reshuffle, but if you compare it with a blackjack of a physical casino that does the reshuffling, which many now do, then there is absolutely no difference. But remember, blackjack, whether online or offline, isn't just about counting cards. It's a game of strategy. Basic blackjack strategy, understanding the rules, and managing your bankroll effectively can still give you an enjoyable experience and even some decent returns. Also, while the allure of card counting is strong, especially after all the tales from the casino floors, it's essential to approach online blackjack with a realistic perspective. As we said, any type of card counting can still be risky, as if you do not count cards properly, or if the table rules are not in your favour, you risk losing money. And also, if you do count cards properly in a blackjack table that doesn't have funny rules, you still won't make millions like Hollywood makes you think. But, in any case, counting cards is the only proven way to mathematically beat the casino, so it's definitely intriguing, despite its challenges. For those of you interested in trying out online blackjack, make sure to check the link in the description for a list of certified casinos tailored to your region. Also, if you're interested in properly learning how to count cards, we have a few videos coming up about it, so make sure to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you soon, ninjas.